What's going on, people? Happy New Year. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the show and staying with me. About to record my first episode here of 2020. 2020, what am I saying? 2021. And I'm actually being joined by one of my best friends. I've known this guy since we were in 5th grade. His grandparents used to live across the street from me. Yeah, he was one of my best friends. His name's Theo Hardson, one of the best athletes or athletic people that I know. Dude in high school did like a 20-foot long jump. Just one of my closest friends, known him forever. He recently did a 50-mile marathon, and that's what we're going to get into, but just a great, great human, and I'm really glad we're about to do this podcast. So Theo's waiting. I'm about to admit him in, but if you're still listening, I appreciate you. Let's get it cracking. Theo, what's up? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you
Let's
hear me?
go. What's happening, brother? How are you?
I'm good. What's up, bro?
Hey, I mean, thanks for being brave and coming on my podcast,
Thank you for having me.
This is going to be a fun one. I mean, just I was doing a brief intro right before we got on, just being like, I've known this guy since we were in 5th grade. So like there's a lot, we've known each other a while. This is going to be a different episode because some of these people I have on, I haven't known for that long. So it's kind of like we're cool, but it's not like there isn't that much history between, like we have. So
It's an honor.
yeah.
It's an honor to be on here, man. Thanks for having me, man. This is awesome. I like the whole setup you got. I remember that picture you got right there, the baseball one in the background. That was in your old room in PQ.
Yes, it was. It's memory, it's adds a nice little backdrop, but I'm so glad we were able to do this. One thing people might not know is Theo actually, before I recorded my first actual episode, he recorded like 2 or 3 practice episodes with me where I just was like, all right, man, like you're a rapper today. Just like, this is what you do. Like, just, I'm gonna just ask you questions so I can get comfortable talking on a microphone. Or then
That's
like
right.
today you play in the NFL, just like random stuff. So it's just fun. And I told you too, like when the time's right, we're going to do one for real, obviously. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but there's definitely been doing some cool things. So but anyways, before I ramble to, how are you? This is like cool. Cause this is like we haven't done like a FaceTime or whatever in a long time. So this is cool.
I'm good, man. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you again for having me. I just got done doing an ultra marathon. The holidays have been good. There's just a lot happening, school, everything. I miss you, man. It's like, I know we talk a lot, but it's different not being in being with each other physically. Just a little background story for those of you guys who are listening or tuning in. Me and Ryan, he used to live across the street from my grandparents' house. And we met in, I think it was 5th grade. Was it 5th grade or 4th grade?
Yeah, it was 5th grade because that's when I moved to that's when I moved to San Diego. And
so it's 5th grade. I saw this kid playing basketball, and I was like, "Who's this kid playing basketball outside the street of my grandma's house?" And then I go outside, and then I think you asked me, "Do you want to walk to school together?" So we started walking to school together. Come to find out, we're in the same class. So we started walking to school together. Next thing you know, we become best friends, and then next thing you know, it just took off from there. And then we became best friends, played sports together, street football.
those are some intense games back in the day, bro.
We became NFL professional street football legends. He was my quarterback. I was the LaDainian Tomlinson. He was my Drew Brees.
Hey, man, you made me look good. All I'd have to do is throw it up and you'd run underneath it,
Yeah, I'll just say, Ryan, bomb it, and I'll just run under it. Boom, one-handers, touchdown every time. But yeah, man, it's just good memories, man. Good memories. We grew up together. We grew up
basically
together.
until
Yeah.
I moved. And then we did like a funny. I remember that video we shot where I had to like act. I was like, guys, I'm moving to Buffalo, and you guys are like, what?
And then we became rappers. So we were NFL football players, street football players, and then in high school we became rappers. And then we shot music videos, and then yeah, now we're doing bigger and better things.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't do a whole lot of rapping. I just was like the guy that.
You're our production guy. He was
Yeah.
actually Ryan. He it's funny because it's funny because your gifts and talents now, it was a foreshadow of what you're doing now. Because when we first made our other friend Nick, when we first made our first rap song, you're the one who was like pushing it out to all the people at high school. You're like, hey, look at this, listen to this song. My boy Theo and Nick got this hot track. And you're like pushing it out to people, and people are like, hey, this is tight. And
I'm a,
you're the one getting it out to people.
yeah, those are fun times. I remember I'd be like, hey, dude, so and so from math got back to me. He's like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Dude, those were such good times. Memories, we'll make forever. And dude, it's I mean, fifth grade, we were what, like 12? Not even 12 then, 10. So like that's like more than half our life that we've known each other, pretty much.
I know.
That's insane.
Crazy.
But how are you doing like through COVID and everything? You doing okay or?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like you gotta always watch your back, It's like there's been a couple scares, you never know who you're around. And then, my wife's family, a couple of her family members are in the hospital, and a couple of my family members, got it. And it's honestly, it's a scary thing, to be honest with you. And it's it's heartbreaking to see all the people who are affected by it, not just physically, but also mentally. There's a lot of people who it's affecting mentally, and it's isolating them and causing them to feel, depressed and anxious. And it's just heartbreaking to see. Even myself, I've noticed it.
What, just like in the mental health side of it? Just
Yeah, it's like it's when you know that you can't go places and you can't do things, it causes you to feel more isolated, and it causes you to feel like, man, I can't do this or I can't do that. And then you feel like you want to isolate yourself, so you find yourself sitting in your house, or you find yourself not doing the things that you want to do, that you usually want to do, because you feel limited. And then if you already struggle with depression like I do, I struggle with clinical depression, since the age of 7, 8 years old. So it's like, if I'm used to working out or going to the gym, I have to find other ways to be creative. And if I can't go to certain places, it's like, it's tough. So it does take effect. But I totally get how our health is important, and people are trying to keep each other safe, but it's a hard thing to deal with.
100%. One thing I kind of, the way I put it in perspective is COVID's affected everyone one way or another, whether it's physically, like you got sick, or you made a lot, tragically would have lost a loved one or something, or it's affected you mentally, your mental health. Financially, it's affected you. A lot of people are out of jobs, or yeah, I mean, it's just affected someone one way or another. It's been like a huge ripple effect, and it's tough, man, because we I'm praying that it's going to be over soon, but I don't know. It's just like weird, because like obviously you have, I mean, and this is not like, none of this is like factual. This is just like kind of my opinion, I guess. But you just like every other, like California is doing their own thing, Texas is doing their own thing, New York's doing their own thing, Florida's Florida's like completely open, like Texas is like completely open basically. California, I think they're going in a shutdown, or not a shutdown, but like it's definitely more. And like in New York, we've been definitely very regulated on like what, you know. So it's just like it's hard when you're having everyone doing their own thing, I guess. But you know, some states in the good old US of A are like the size of some countries, you know, like so it's hard to. But what a weird year, man!
Yeah,
It's a strange time.
I know.
I feel like when we get out of this, though, we're gonna be like able to do like anything. We'll be like we got through 2020 and 2021, like we can do anything. Like
Yeah,
we're okay.
yeah.
But um, so recently you did a 50-mile marathon. You mentioned you know finding ways to be creative and ways to obviously exercise because I mean you're a very fit guy, an athletic guy. For those that may not know, I mean, dude, what you in high school you did like a 20 what was your long you did like a 20 foot long jump like you, we always used to joke with you like, oh dude, you're going to the NFL, bro.
You guys are fun. Well, I went, for those of you guys that didn't know, I went to
Pedro.
I went to Cathedral Catholic High School. I played football all my life. I ran track and field. So I was a long jumper, and I held the long jump record. I had a 20 feet in 5 inches. I was yeah
That's
I
crazy.
went yeah I went to the championship that year. So that's what Ryan's talking about. Maybe for those of you guys don't know. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I did. Yeah, I just last week was it last Sunday. I just did an ultra marathon, 50 miles.
At Hill to paint a picture at Hilltop Park in Rancho Penasquitos, which is basically it's just like a giant loop. So like you ran for what 9 hours straight,
It took me 10 hours. I started at 6:30 a.m. and I finished 10 hours and 17 minutes.
bro. I mean, kudo. Like what? I mean,
Thank
I
you.
could barely run like a mile and a half. I'm working my way up, but dude, that's I mean, like I want to sit here and say, yeah, that's impressive. Like it's beyond impressive. Like there's not really words to. But I mean, you obviously trained and prepared for this, correct? Or did you kind of, or like what inspired you to get in do this? Like that's not like something you just say, yeah, I'm gonna run for like 10 hours a day. Like
Right.
so.
Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Well, it kind of stems back to my childhood. As I was talking about my mental health, I've struggled all my life with depression, and there's this thing I call the Grim Reaper. It's a quote. It's a the Grim Reaper is another name I call fear, and it was something that I've been running from all my life. Um, I think there's so many things in my life that I ran from, and I quit in my life, and I look back in my life, and I know what it is to quit and what's on the back end of quitting. And I kind of reflected on all these things. And going back to high school, um, depression got really bad when I was 16 years old, my sophomore year. And I hurt myself. I got a knife and I cut myself in my arm. And it got so, and that's, and that it got that bad where I would write like suicide letters to my parents. And that was my way of asking for help, screaming for help. Um, that was the pivotal moment for me because I was searching for something deeper. And that's when I found Christ. And so, fast forward to this marathon, I look back, I, I quit so many things in my life, and my self-esteem was crushed throughout my life, and I was just tired of running from fear. And I felt like this past year I wanted to close this year out with a bang, and I wanted to look fear in its face, and and I wanted to face it, because I was running from it. I felt like from age 7 all the way up to 22, I was a kid, a boy who had his a thumb in his mouth in the fetal position. My self-esteem was so low, and I was running from fear my entire life. And now I had the ability to stand up to fear by God's grace and by his power, and I finally found my feet, and I could stand up to it and say, I'm here now. I'm ready to fight. And so this was my opportunity, because I was afraid to do this 50 miles. Trust me, I only trained 3 weeks for it. I've
Wow.
ne- I've never ran that far. And usually, to paint a picture for you, it takes 3 to 6 months to train for a 50 miler, an ultra marathon. An ultra marathon is anywhere. So the name ultra marathon, it's anything that's farther than 26.2 miles. So it can be 30 miles, 50 miles, or 100 miles. So it takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months at the least to train for an ultra marathon. But I said, I want to define the odds. I want to inspire people, and I want to show people, and I want to show myself that I can do what is not possible on paper. And I want to inspire people that they can use their gifts and talents that God's given them and glorify God with whatever they have in their what God's given them, and inspire other people to use it to glorify them. So I trained for 21 days, and I was going to pull out of it because I was scared. Trust me, I was scared. I was like, what if my kidneys fail? Because there's stories of where people, if you train too hard, and your body's not ready or prepared for something that taxing, and you're pushing your body, your kidneys can, your kidneys can fail. You can start peeing blood and stuff like that. So I was kind of like scared, and that fear that I was telling you about, that I was running from, that started coming into my mind again. And so I was about to pull out of it. Like I was about to just give up again. But again, I was like, you know what? No, I rebuked that. I'm not gonna allow that. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do it. And you know what? There's two things that's gonna happen. I'm gonna try and fail, and I'll either end up in the hospital and know that I tried and gave all that I got, or I'm gonna finish and cross that line on my hands and knees. There's only two options, but I'm not gonna quit. So I went out there at 6:30 a.m. and I stood at that starting line, and I'm like, I had my watch, I had my camel pack on, and I had tape. I taped my shoes, and I wrote with a Sharpie on one of my shoes, I'm never out of the fight. And then on the other one, I wrote, Jesus loves me. Those are the two things that I live by. And I knew this day can go totally wrong, but there's two things that I know that will remain true. Jesus loves me, and I'm never out of the freaking fight. So I took off. I'm in mile 30. Uh, at mile 30, my body starts breaking down. My joints, my feet start hurting like crazy. And at that point, I'm like, oh crap. Like, I never felt this feeling before. Like, my body started breaking down, and like my joints and my feet started hurting so bad. And so the first 26 miles was fine. I was good. I was solid. At mile 30, things started going kind of wrong.
And you still
But
have like 20 to go at that point too.
exactly. So I'm like, oh crap. So I call my wife on my phone, and I'm running, and I'm like, hey, I need some Tylenol. So she gives me two extra strength Tylenol. So I pop two in, right? And that takes away the pain just a little bit, right? So mentally, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty solid, but I'm starting to feel the pain. Meanwhile, as I'm running, I already had a plan, and my plan was to every 30 minutes to have an energy pack to keep my energy going. So I had a timer set every 30 minutes. So I was taking food in every 30 minutes, and I was good energy wise. Now I had my family there. So my family was running like a lap or so with me every once in a while. And that was giving me, some encouragement. Now, I was anticipating that 40-mile mark, because I was doing research, and they say that at the 40-mile mark, that's when those dark thoughts starts coming in of quitting. And so I told myself that's when the grim reaper, that fear starts coming in, that's when I knew those thoughts would start coming in. So I told God, God, set up that meeting with the grim reaper because I want that meeting. And
Well,
so I was at mile 35 and that pain came back. The Tylenol wore off, and my body was just starting to break down. And I said, God, I still want that meeting with the Grim Reaper. Set that meeting up still. I got to mile 36. I walked a couple of laps, and then I began to do this rhythm where I would jog 5 minutes and then walk 1 minute, jog 5 minutes, walk 1 minute, and then I got to mile 40, and I knew that's when the war was on. I had 10 miles left. I was too far in the battle to turn away. So at that point, I knew this is it. All the training, everything that I've gone through in my life, the fear is right in my face. All the running I've done in my life, it's right there. And I can either run like I did all my life, or I can face it right here and God is with me. And it was right there in my face. And I knew it. The fear started coming in, the thoughts of quitting. And I had a friend of mine, Spencer. He's a Marine. He was running with me, and I'm so glad he was there because he got there just in time. Um, I was at mile 40, and he was warming up. So I was running, and I got to mile 45, and when I got to mile 45, he hopped in with me. I have 5 miles left, and he hopped in, and I wanted to stop so bad. I wanted to stop so bad, but I had 5 miles left, and my family was there. And at that point, the enemy was telling me to stop. And I told myself, if I stop, then the whole race is done. But if I don't stop, I knew that I won and I conquered fear. So the battle was for me to not stop for 5 miles. And my legs and everything was just totally broken. Like I've gone 100%. I wanted to stop so bad because I was at 100% of everything I've gone. I've gone this whole race giving all that I had. So I had my headphones on. I had my playlist on. I've done everything that I could done. And long story short, I made it all the way without stopping. I was on that last lap, and I turned on the engine, and I finished in a full sprint, and I crossed that line. And to glory be the God, to glory be the God. I broke out in just a bunch of emotion. I can't believe that I was able to do it, and I give God all the glory for it.
man, like I mean, I obviously wasn't there, and I was following along here and there, obviously, because 10 hours is a long time to just devote. But dude, I mean, I just have such a vivid picture in my head of like how you're describing it, and I mean, I'm still like mesmerized by it, just because like this is not like this is like it's still hard for me to process. Not that like I don't think you can do it, but like that it's just so like remarkable. You know, it's like such a remarkable achievement.
Thank you.
So I mean, are you still like recovering? Like, because I imagine this being like a boxing match or like a UFC fight where it's like you train for it, but then like these guys only fight like once or twice a year because like it's such a burden on their body, obviously, and they have to recover and heal. So like, how are you doing right now? Are you?
That's a great question. I actually read something after a marathon. Um, I read this somewhere that it takes a couple of weeks or months for people to recover, even mentally. And I'm sure people have different opinions on this. But I'll tell you this: the night that then actually 10 minutes after I finished, I could barely walk.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah.
And when I got home, I dumped 5 bags of ice in the tub, and I got into the tub, and I broke out, and I was in there for 15 minutes. That was pretty painful. It was just cold. And then after I got out of the tub, um, I got in the bed and I broke out in chills. I was shivering. Actually, usually, I don't know if you noticed this, but have you ever seen after a marathon they have this like tin foil they wrap marathon runners in?
Kind of
It's like
like
it's
right.
like a it's like a blanket.
Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to. The reason why they do that is because when you're running for so long, your body gets at a certain temperature, and then after you run, your body cools down, and you don't want it to cool down so fast because you can get like hypothermia.
Right.
And so I didn't have that. So I think what happened was my body cooled down too fast, and I should have wrapped myself in something warm or changed my clothes into something warm. But instead, I jumped into a cold ice bath, and I broke out into chills, and I broke out into a fever actually that night. And so like my wife had the heater on, and it was like super hot in the room, and she was like, babe, it's like super hot. And I was like, no, it's not. I was like shivering in the bed and I had a bunch of blankets on me, and I had like 100-degree fever. And I woke up that night and I was just in pain everywhere. Like my muscles were inflamed. But I got a COVID test, because people
Yeah.
are like freaking out, like,
Right.
oh, what if he has COVID? So I got a COVID test. It was negative,
Yeah.
but I couldn't walk. I could barely walk for like the next 2 or 3 days. Um, and I'm slowly recovering. I feel good now. I'm gonna get back in the gym slowly this week.
That's great. I mean, I would imagine though that, well, you had a Camelback, but you're probably very dehydrated, right? Like
Oh yeah,
for the most
yeah,
part. Like, do you still feel that way now, or is it like you're kind of back? Because I know you drink a lot of water and you take care of yourself. So
yeah, definitely. I'm hydrating. I've been eating. Honestly, I've been eating what I want this last week. Because I was eating pretty clean. But now that I'm gonna get back to training, I'm gonna start eating, vegetables and all the good healthy food. But I've been eating, fried chicken and In and Out and all the good California
nice.
food.
Yeah, definitely. Did you record any data? Like, do you know like how many calories you burned during the whole thing? And
Yeah, I have this cool, awesome watch. It's called the Garmin watch. This thing is pretty expensive actually. It's like a triathlon watch,
oh no
and
way.
it tracks it tracks all your like stats. I burned 7,000 calories that day. Yeah, it tracks your stride length, it tracks your breathing, it tracks your blood oxygen level. But I burned 7,000 calories that day. So I dropped 3 pounds that day as well.
Wow.
So a pound is probably like this,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot to lose a pound. So I dropped like about 3 pounds that day.
Yeah. Damn. I mean, 7,000 calories. That's like almost 2 days worth of, or no, that's like 3 to 4 days worth of eating for some. Like
Yeah.
that's. So I'm assuming. Yeah, you're probably very hungry.
Oh
Or
yeah, I went and got carne asada fries and rolled tacos that night.
oh, you ate both.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Cotijas or different spot?
Cotijas.
That's the spot, man. I mean, everyone around here, right? Like, we have like I guess there's one Mexican food place that's like really good, but like I tell everyone, I'm like, no, you got to go to Southern California or San Diego, and, well, same place, but San Diego, like, I, there's nothing that remotely comes close around here to that. It's just different. So and I've told stories about Cotijas. It's like, yeah, it's not like the most. It's kind of a little hole in the wall, but like, food is good. It's
Exactly.
good to eat.
That's where it's at.
So maybe not many people that know, but maybe people that know you personally, they know that you have very strong faith, and you're actually studying to be a pastor. Is that correct or no?
Yeah. Yes.
How is that going? And like, what like inspired you to like go, get on your walk with Christ?
Yeah, so my mom, as a kid, my mom took me to church, and then she took me to the Rock Church in Maranatha. The Rock Church, the pastor of the Rock Church is Miles McPherson. He played for the Chargers. He was a receiver, and now he has a like a pretty big church in Point Loma down in San Diego. For those of you guys who know him, um, but I I grew into my faith, and as I told you, I went to Cathedral Catholic, and part of my faith and me finding Christ, or actually Christ finding me, was when I went into depression, and it was when I went into that season of darkness, and I was feeling super dark during my sophomore year, and that's when Christ found me because I got pulled up to varsity as a freshman. They pulled me up to varsity. I was 160 pounds playing with grown men. And the
Basically.
thing, yeah, basically grown men. And the thing is that remember what I told you? I was consumed by fear as a kid. So I had low self-esteem. And the thing is that I had so much people who believed in me, but the thing is that I didn't believe in myself. Like I had a bunch of gifts and talents, like I had speed, I had all this stuff, and I had coaches who believed in me. But the thing is I didn't believe in myself. And so I was like deer in the headlights. They brought me up to varsity, and what I did was I just crashed. I just froze. And so it came to that point where I crumbled, and I didn't know where to go. And it was at that point where I got on my hands and knees, where I had nowhere else to go. And that's where I found Christ. Fast forward, um, I was a kines major. I wanted to be a personal trainer. And so I opened my own business, True Fitness. I did that for a while. Um, and then I realized there's something deeper. I was doing Bible studies on the side. And I feel like God was just leading me into a different direction, and he was just always putting me in front of people to minister to, like friends. I remember in high school I started doing a Bible study in high school in
Yeah.
in my backyard in
Yeah.
high school, and there's a
That,
bunch of high schoolers coming, like from different high schools coming. It was like a pool. It was like, you know how like there's high school parties
yeah.
where
We
people
were,
come and like get high and stuff, except people weren't getting high and getting drunk. People were coming to hear Jesus and hear the word.
dude, we were throwing little parties on the
Yeah.
low. I mean, not
Oh
even,
yeah, 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 yeah. We're at
I
the
mean,
party.
it was like, it was, I mean, I think at one point it was like 15 to 20 deep at one point, right? Like there's a lot of
Exactly.
people, like, just, it was fun. It was a fun little group.
It was dope. It was dope. And I was like, I wasn't even doing. I was like, I
Didn't
can't
even
believe it.
realize it.
I didn't realize. I was like, whoa, what the heck? And so God was doing something. It wasn't anything special in me. It was God doing something. So he was doing something, and so I realized that there was a deeper calling. And so as I got older to this point, I realized I have a desire to minister to people. I love counseling people. I love ministering to people in relationships. I love I'm in the business of soul winning. I love seeing people come to Christ. I love seeing broken souls come to Christ. And I just love seeing broken people because we're all broken. And I love seeing people uh, have hope, find hope. I love bringing hope to the hopeless. That's what I love doing. And so um, I'm a broken person myself, as I shared with you. So I'm studying to be a pastor. I'm in school right now, and I have about a year left in my studies, and yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's amazing, dude. I'm so happy for you. And look, obviously when you're younger, we're immature and we're not grown and we don't know these things. But looking back, like I used to kind of take your, what you mentioned before, your low self esteem as like humbleness, because like everyone would always be like, "Oh, Theo, like you're so good," and you're just be like, "No, no, like I'm just like everyone else." But like looking back, like it's like that. I guess that makes sense, and I just didn't realize it. And I knew, back I knew you were going through things, back then, but like I didn't know it was like that deep like that. And I wish, looking back, obviously you can't really change the past, but I wish I would have been there more for you as like a friend, just because. But also, mental health wasn't really in the conversation. Really, it was kind of just like it wasn't like, you know what I mean. Like there wasn't the awareness like there is today, you know.
Right.
But
Right.
um,
I
yeah,
appreciate it.
that's exciting, man. Being, I think really that's like kind of your calling card, and what's really I think interesting about this is well, growing up you're definitely more shy and reserved, and as you've grown grown into who you are today, you've definitely stepped out of your shell a little more, which I've noticed, which is good, and I'm so happy to see that. But like
Thank
I
you.
like the way like the way, I guess I say it's interesting because the way I would describe it, you're not like the most like outgoing person. You're more like kind of reserved, and like if you're in the right situation, you're just like you're you, but
Yeah.
like you're not as like you're not gonna
Right.
just like walk into the building and be like, "What's up, yo?" You're just kind of like. So I think
Right.
it's an interesting perspective that like that's how you are personally, but then you speak in front of people and help them. So I think that's just really cool, and I think that's definitely one of your gifts and what you're called to do, in a sense. So
Thanks for that.
really awesome, and I think once you nothing but bright things are in the future. Like I think once you graduate, it's like you're gonna hit the ground running. So do you think sports growing up though, like when you put the way you played sports, did it have what? Well, I guess you kind of answered that like it impacted your faith and like shaped you, or
Oh yeah. Are you saying like did it shape my faith?
yeah, or even just like as how you are today? Because I mean,
Oh yeah.
like, because I mean, you don't have to still train or work out or even run 50 miles. Like, you don't even have to do any of that, but like you still go hard. You still are like you're definitely in better shape than like most people. So it's like, but also I know you have a passion for that too. You know, training and helping people. So
I think that's just in my blood, honestly.
yeah,
I just have a passion to be an athlete. I think God just created me to be an athlete. I love competing. I just in everything, like even with my wife, like she loves board games. And so like if she wants to play a board game with me, like I'll try to beat her and I'll get a like if she's like beats me, I'll be like, let's play again until I beat you. You know what I'm saying? It's just in my blood, it's in my
no,
DNA.
you're definitely got that competitive spirit in you. I remember back in the day, like you play Madden or whatever we were doing, what board game, whatever. Like if I would be you, you'd be like, all right, let's run this back, and then
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
or like
Exactly.
we never lost whenever we played together and that the street football games, the turkey bowls, because it's like you would be like me and you kind of had that pedigree. It would be like, all right, we're gonna finish this. Because
Exactly.
you know how I am when I'm sometimes I get a little too competitive.
That's good. That's good, right? Me and you,
Yeah,
seeing you bring me and you together, and
yeah.
we're
Like,
like, boom, we're gonna win this.
like we're playing a casual, game on Thanksgiving, and me and you are just jacked up, like it's the Super Bowl, and like we're like, come on, what are you guys doing? Like, come on, let's. uh,
uh,
so
Good
much fun
times.
times, man.
Yeah, good times, man.
What like what do you got going on like in the future? Like, because I know you mentioned you're finishing up school, but you you got like your training, right? Like Third Haven. No, did I
Yeah,
say that right? No.
third heaven, third heaven.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Haven.
So
What do I
third haven. so so third heaven. Basically, it was True Fitness, and that was like just strictly personal training, right? So third heaven now is more of like a lifestyle, and what it actually is. It comes from the Bible, and third heaven is actually it's if you look in the Bible, it's actually um in the Bible from the Apostle Paul. For those who are Christians, it's actually when we die and leave Earth, it's where Jesus is. It's where believers go, and it's where we will be, where Jesus is. And the reason why I named my brand Third Heaven is because I want people to experience. Jesus in everything they do. And I believe that God has given us gifts and talents, and I want people to use their gifts and talents to inspire other people and glorify God with what they've been given in anything they do. So whether it's being someone who does podcasts, a chef, a fitness person, a teacher, that you can experience God in everything you do, and you can inspire people in and through those gifts and talents, because we all have desires and we all have gifts. And the question is, who put those desire and gifts in there? God did. We
Yep.
weren't just randomly just placed on the earth without gifts and desires. We were placed with the purpose, and we're placed with gifts and desires. And that's where God allowed us to be here, so we can glorify him with those gifts and desires and inspire people. And so you, for example, are inspiring people to you're glorifying God, and you're inspiring people right now by using God's gift that he's giving you right now, by doing this. And you're not using it for yourself, but you're using it to inspire other people by giving your gift to other people. Like right now, what you're doing is you're giving your gift right now that God is giving you, your passion, and you're blessing me with it, and you're blessing other people with it. You know what I'm saying? And so I want people to experience God in and through their gifts. So that's third heaven. And so I'm working on a merch currently, third heaven merch.
Okay.
And I'm eventually gonna be putting that out. And so keep an eye out for that. And then I do eventually, my next thing about this year I have on the hit list is 100-mile race that I'm looking forward to. I think I'm gonna try to hit.
You're incredible.
So I that's that. So there's two things. It's either a hundred. There's two things. It's either 100-mile race. It's called the San Diego 100. You start in Cuyamaca, and it's through the Cuyamaca Mountains. It's in San Diego. It's called the San Diego 100, or a full Ironman. And a full Ironman is a 2.4-mile swim. You get right on a bike after the 2.4-mile swim, and you do a 112-mile bike ride. Right after that, you hop on the road, and you finish with a 26.2-mile full marathon. So it's one of those. And the thing is, I'm terrified of the water. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to face my fears, because I'm scared of the ocean, and I'm not a good swimmer. So there's two things I can do. Those are some goals of mine, but I just want to inspire people, man. But those are kind of in the works of third heaven. And so I want to make merch, and I want to inspire people and give merch away. And so I'm kind of in the works with those things.
Dude, that's all really exciting stuff. I love the Third Heaven brand. I think it just like it fits you perfectly and what you're trying to do with your other aspirations. But man, the Ironman and the 100 San Diego 100, like best of luck, dude. No, but it's you hit it right on the head though with the, I mean, this podcast, like I don't even know what it'll become, but really my goal is like people like I want to give people like yourself a voice. I want a voice and a platform where they're able to share their stories, because I mean obviously like you have a remarkable story, and if it blows up and becomes a successful thing, great. But if not, like it's for fun and it's a fun thing to do, and and I try to just it's a project that's bigger than me. Like I want to inspire people through it. I want to just share good stories, and help others out through it. Where it's like you may listen one week and people will hear that you went through all this adversity to do this 50-mile run, and how you struggled with mental health and like how you overcame that. Like, because there's a lot of people hurting out there, and
Mhm.
whether it's like if they're successful people or even just regular everyday, it's like there's a lot going on. So the goal is to just be be for the people essentially. But hey, I mean, maybe this is one of my gifts that I was, born with. I don't know.
I
People
just
are
want to
always so, go ahead.
I just want to say, I really I want to just encourage you and say how inspired I am by what you're doing right now, because I remember when you're telling me that you wanted to start a podcast, and now I'm seeing it unfold before my eyes. And so it's awesome to see something that you have a passion for unfold, and you um, doing doing it right before your eyes, because I know that you love what you're doing, and you have a passion for it in your heart. And I see the passion and the drive that you have for it, and the energy that you put into it, and the hard work you put into it. And so I do pray that God continues to bless that. And I just wanted to just say that. I wanted to really say that. I really wanted to bless that.
Thank you. I mean, that means a lot coming from you, just because I know that, we've been close for a while, and just like our relationship to this point is like where we can bounce things off each other. Whether it's just like, hey man, this girl, I'm not doing well, or like I'm doing well, or whatever. And not that we always chat every day, but it's just like whenever we talk, it always picks right back up. So it's
Of course.
it means our friendship means a lot to me, and there's just certain people, where it's like man, like that's nothing. Like there's too much history there to just like, you know,
That's the type of friendship, that's the type of brotherhood we have. Is like we can like not talk for months, and we can just pick off right where we left off.
oh yeah, because it's like we're on the same way. Like we just know. Because I mean, life gets busy. I mean, dude, you're a married man. You're training for, and the fact that we're able to, you ran last week, but yeah, last Sunday, like a week ago today, and I texted you pretty much like I was like, hey man, I'm like I was moved by it, and then it was like, dude, like, do you want to call on the podcast and talk about it? Like, and then you're like,
Perfect.
do it, and then we just boom, we make the magic happen.
Boom. That's funny.
But it's been a lot of fun. If you have any closing thoughts, anything you want to add, like where the people can find you on social media, or
Yeah.
what you basically whatever you want to plug, like this is your time, this is your chance.
Yeah.
Go for it.
If you want to follow me, Theo underscore third heaven on Instagram. Also, I have a YouTube channel, and my link is on my Instagram as well. I also make YouTube videos.
I make YouTube channels.
Yeah, I make YouTube channels. Um, I post a lot of inspirational stuff and a lot of my training stuff on Instagram, my stories of me training. So if you like following day to day training, and also mental health, I tie that in with my faith into my training. I'm big on that. Follow me on Instagram as well. And I just want to say this as well. You don't have to do what I did, and it just takes one step at a time. I'm big on one day at a time and one step at a time. Um, we're all at different seasons in different places in our life, and you might be asking, where do I start? It starts with where you're at right now. And before we can know where we're going, we have to figure out where we're at on the map. If we look at a map and we're trying to get to San Diego, we have to first figure out where we're at first. And so let's figure out where we're at so that we can figure out how to get to San Diego. And then once we figure out where we're at, then we can get to San Diego. And so it starts with our relationship with God. And I know there's a lot going on. 2020 has been a crazy year, but for me, it's been my relationship with God, and it's been a bunch of highs and lows, but He's been constant. And so one step at a time, He's never left my side. Um, he's always been there. He was with me in the 50-mile marathon when it got dark, and he was with me in the end. He's with me in the dark times, and He's with me in the light. So, for those of you guys who are contemplating dark times, depression, I feel for you. Reach out. I totally understand. And remember, never quit, never give up, and we are never out of the fight.
Wow. Amen to that, man. But amen.
Right.
No, I love it. I love that mentality. But anyways, Theo, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother. Got much.
Thank you for having me.
It's been fun, and I can't wait to release this into the world and show them.
Thank you for having me, brother.
All right. Everyone, Theo Hardson, give him a follow. Theo_third heaven. Send him a message. Do all that good stuff. Again, thank you, man. Much love to you. We'll chat soon.